the society for the most part. How much money do we need to leave in our checking account to make sure that we're comfortable?
So you're 100% right in that most Americans can't go 2 paychecks without 2 paychecks in a row without coming into some serious problems. You know, you always want to fund an emergency fund first. That's what you want to have funded. 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in an account that you can access at any time. Whether it's 3 months or 6 months depends on job security. You know, I have some people who feel more comfortable with a lot more than that. Some people have 2-3 years worth of funds sitting idle in a checking account or a savings account rather.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot
to me.
Yeah, well, that's what a deep recession will do. It, you know, people before their big recession may not have felt the need to have so much cash in a bank account, but post-recession, the pain that a lot of people took on, they're a little insane with how much cash that makes them feel safe.
So when we say emergency fund, are you saying this is just your regular checking account or regular savings, or is this something that's totally separate?
So you can have savings account, checking account. Those are your liquid assets. You can even have a conservative investment account that's linked to one of those accounts that you can easily access money. So at least you're earning something, not zero, basically.
So what kind of an account would that be, or could it be?
So it'd be an investment account that has, you know, mutual funds primarily, ETFs that are conservative in nature, that, you know, may invest in bonds or even treasuries. There's CDs out there. There's FDIC insured market CDs that have short-term durations that you can also use. So there's a number of things. It's the number one question I get. People come in, they want to know what's safe. You know, what can I invest in that's relatively safe?
Life sometimes gets out from under us. You know, life just goes on, and we're just grinding it out. And we forget to really sit down and go back and look at bank statements and do some type of family budget or even individual budget if you don't have a spouse and kids. I mean, is there a certain amount of time that we really should sit down and look at what we're spending, where we're spending? Even my Wells Fargo app has like this budget thing on it. Like I click a button and it'll show me how I spent. You know, Wells Fargo, I don't know if they want my business because every story starts with Wells Fargo. But it even has this budget thing. You click on it and it shows you average spending the last 6 months, what you've spent it on. I mean, it seems like technology's made it a little bit easier to do our budget, but I think we're afraid to really look at it.
You know what I recommend?
Yeah. Oh, guilty. No. Oh, God, what happened? Oh.
So I think those of us with kids know that no 1 month is the same as the last, or each month is different. And, you know, I recommend to clients that at least 2 times a year you go through and you do a complete forensic type audit on where your money's going. You know, you signed up for an audible.com subscription, you haven't bought a book in 6 months. You signed up for a hand and stone massage and it sounded great at the time, but $59 a month. You can sit there and add up hundreds of dollars a month that people are authorized just to reach in and grab out of your checking account. And you know, you might want to make a decision twice a year. Hey, do I really want that money coming out of my account?
How does anyone in the room feel about these monthly auto payments, whether it's Netflix or even your electricity bill on auto pay? Ron, should we do these auto pay things or not?
Ooh, I'm on the fence about that. Okay, so you know, I'm 47. I'm reasonably old school. I still write checks. I do have clients. The new clients I get, they're like, "What's a checkbook?"
Yeah.
I even had new clients that don't even know how to write a check.
Right.
So I get it. Times have changed. I do have auto pays for bills that I might, you know, forget. It's not the end of the world for things like utilities, but you want to keep the least amount of people automatically taking money out of you every month.
Because what if you have to go away or you die? They just keep going.
Yeah,
that's a disaster.
321-339-1055. Any financial question that you have will be answered tonight here on the program. But also these auto pays, you kind of can forget, like you said, Audible or the hand and stone massage. You get these auto billed every month, and sometimes you just don't notice them, you don't use them. All of a sudden you got $300, $400, $500 in just crap that you're not using at all.
Yeah, it adds up. It really does. So I recommend to clients twice a year, you know, forensically just deep down dive into what you're spending your money on. And by and large, that's one of the major weaknesses that we all have is life is getting busier and busier. Time is going faster and faster. And one of the reasons people hire me is to make sense of their financial life. We organize their financial life for them. Everyone's financial, life has some degree of chaos in it. And we go in, and there was a show on HGTV about 10 years ago. It was called Organization. It was an organizational show, and basically they come in and they would take a room like your office in your house, and they would completely organize it. And they would develop 3 piles. Basically, it was like keep, get rid of, and let's talk about it. So people come into my office. They have no idea where their investments are. None. They don't know what they're invested in their 401k. They come in with a shoebox full of documents. They come in with, 5 statements when they have 10 accounts.
Yeah.
Sounds like me.
They have no idea.
3 of them are for the same account. From July, August, September.
Right.
Exactly. And a lot of these statements are 6 months old.
Yeah.
And, we have people who have left jobs. And they say, oh yeah, I have a 401k at this old employer from like 3 years ago. They have no idea where their money's invested in. They don't even know where it's at. So we help organize everything. And you can imagine the sense of calmness someone, especially, women who have been, went through divorce or whose husbands have passed away, or, they may have been the organizer of the finances. For me to go in and tell them exactly where everything's located and tell them exactly how to adjust their structure going forward, it's a huge sense of peace and calmness for them.
Yeah, I think people walk into your office too a little embarrassed that they are so dysfunctional financially in a lot of ways. But then I imagine that the stress relief that you see on their face as they walk out must make you feel pretty good as well.
No, absolutely. That's the fulfilling part. And I would say that's the number one reason why people don't seek out financial help. First of all, they have no idea what I do. They don't. They think that what they see on TV or on the interwebs is, they're going to come into my office and they're going to say, hey, here's what I own. Here's my investments. And I'm going to say, well, I can do better. You should do business with me. And that's the guy you want to just walk out of the office and just say, thank you for your time. And that's just not how it works.
Right.
So my role for people is it's much more broad in scope.
Ron Christopher's here, GC Wealth Management, 321-339-1055. So one of the questions that you must get often is the credit card versus debit card. And here's why I ask. Because some people know how to spend all of their money throughout the month on a credit card and then pay off the entire amount at the end of the month. I think this might be few and far between.
God bless them, yeah.
But some people, I think, can do that. Other people, they almost need to use the debit card or even cash because it feels like real money to them. They see it coming out of their account immediately. Do you have any recommendations when it comes to credit versus debit?
So people who are, people who use credit cards to, get miles and things of that sort, and if they've proven through time, not just a few months, but over the years that they can go ahead and pay that off monthly, then by all means continue with that plan. If that's working for you, great. The problem with debit cards, for people who spend too much, by using an electronic means of spending, it does not feel like real money. I always recommend to them that, hey, if you're going to limit your discretionary spending to a certain amount per week or a certain amount per month, take that cash out of your account, put it in your wallet, put it in your desk drawer, take it out as needed. So when you go somewhere and you're going to spend that money, it's just so much harder to hand them a C note or a $20 bill than it is to just swipe a card.
Yeah.
Because swiping a card is not real. So it just depends. We help analyze, spending habits, saving habits, things of that sort, so that, because at the end of the day, money is just a utility that helps you live a better life. That's it. I mean, everyone wants to live a purpose-filled life. I don't care who you are. You might be stuck in a bad job. You might be hating. You want to retire yesterday, but you want to live some kind of meaningful life. And if how you view money emotionally will determine the quality of that life. And what we try to teach people is money is just a utility. Money is just something that enhances your life. It's not something to live for. It's not something to work your butt off for retirement. Retirement, as we know it, is fading away. It's not this rapid cliff that
No.
people drop off. You don't get a gold watch and get on a horse and ride into the
Right off
sunset.
into the sunset.
It doesn't work that way anymore. It's more like a bridge. You know, it's a bridge that is varying in length for people. People like myself and like you who have a vocation, things that we love to do. You know, we can work for as long as we're able to do it.
Do it as long as you love it.
Love might be an overstatement, but I'm just kidding.
Okay, Mike.
321-339-1055. Ron Christopher is here today. Is there a certain amount of money that when we get to a point that we leave in our regular checking or savings account that it becomes too much because we're like, oh, we can go spend frivolously now because the money is just sitting there?
That's one aspect of it, is you do tend to spend more when you feel abundant if you are a spender. The other statistic that people need to realize is inflation. Inflation is a killer. All right, to give you an idea, think of something today that costs $2,800. What do you think? Jet ski maybe, a used motorcycle. I'd imagine walking up to that person that's $2,800 in today's dollars and giving them a C note, giving them $100 for that item. Well, 120 years ago, that's what that item would have cost. So $100 in 1900 is the same as $2,800 today. Inflation is killing our dollar. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, because from 1800 to 1900, our dollar gained value. It would cost you 67 cents for every dollar that you would have to spend over 100 years.
Right.
So we have an inflation problem in this country. It's designed that way since the Federal Reserve took over in 1912. It's designed that way, 1913. It's designed that way so that the banks can get paid back. Okay, you buy a house, you take out a mortgage, inflation helps you pay that debt back. So the banks can lend more money, everybody makes more money, and we're all basically in a slavery system.
As a business owner myself, certainly one of the more scary things that I deal with every day is losing everything. And it's because, and maybe because I built my career helping people going through a tough financial time. You know, you and I were good friends when I was doing foreclosure work in 2000, starting late 2007. Helped like 15,000 families get through foreclosure, but I saw people down and out. And when people were down and out, I was probably doing better than I ever was because we were helping people who were going through a terrible time. But it's always stuck with me. And I've had good friends who were big business owners in real estate or in construction in 2008, 9, 10, 11, who lost everything. They were rich, driving Lamborghinis. They lost everything. Now I see them building it back up. Mortgage brokers who were absolutely crushing it. The point of my question is business is very much cyclical. Businesses go up and down. I can't think of many businesses that don't have good days and bad days, good times and bad times. So when you're talking to a client and they're going through a really good time, I mean, what can they do during the good times knowing that it's not going to last forever?
Yeah, well, you and I both, I feel for everyone who went through 2008, went through a hard time. You and I helped a lot of people get through that together. And one of our guiding principles for our clients is we want to be proactive. So it's better to prepare than to repair a financial, disaster, essentially. So in the case of businesses, so every business is cyclical to some degree. However, you do have some aspects of each business that is recession-proof or recession-resistant, I should say. So like if you have a business and you have monthly revenue coming in from services, in a recession, that's not going to be affected as much as if you were maybe doing larger jobs. Like take a construction company as an example.
A lot of people got hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Back then.
Exactly. So you make sure you want to save enough money to get through the lean times, but if you have a business that has recession-resistant components to it, you do not want to either sell that business or lose focus of that business. Like my wife, she's a hairdresser. The people's hair continues to grow in recessions.
Sure does.
Gray hair continues to grow in recessions. So her business is recession-proof.
Yeah.
Now mine, financial services, not so much. In the depths of 2008, people thought I was providing cancer. That's how much they wanted to talk to me. So it was only when confidence was restored that they realized, hey, I need help.
Yeah, and let's talk about some recession-proof businesses and what you can do to make sure that you avoid that downturn next time that it comes, because it's going to come. We'll ask those questions of Ron Christopher. All you have to do is give us a call, 321-339-1055. 1055. And Ron, off the air, if someone has a question for you, best phone number, email, website, how do they reach
So
you?
you can call me at 407-947-7396. My email is ron@gcwmadvisors.com. It's also our website, gcwmadvisors.com.
Stick around, plenty more ahead. It's Justin Clark. It's Florida Man Radio.
Yo, with a tiny Justin Clark.
Central Florida
First responders host the most
Nothing.
jobs around. This is Jeff Brown.
That's
from
That's
Briana.
good, man. I think that's good start.
Now try to support those heroes.
That flowed.
Yeah, I only got it in one channel.
What do you want to talk about next? What did you say? You want to talk about recession resistance?
Yeah, maybe we'll talk, kind of finish that about the cyclical business thing a little bit. How much
No,
that leads to my
it's
business.
It's that output.
I only need one.
Then I'll,
Yeah, it's that output because I think that's the same one that Justin's had issues with before too.
Yeah, we can talk about people expanding too much at the end of the cycle.
Adam and Eve is not giving
I
you
also like to warn
10%
people not to
off
invest
and
money with
20%
buddies and
off,
things,
or
'cause
even
every day I'm
40%
getting new
Your
articles in
discount
here
is
about
even
Orlando
better.
fraudster pleads guilty.
AdamandEve.com is giving you
Stole
a
12 million.
whopping
Orlando
50%
fraudster pleads guilty.
But why stop
It's
there?
non-stop
In
over
addition
and
to
over.
50% off, you also get 10 free gifts.
Yeah,
That
Buddy
includes
may
a
be the
racy
greatest
item
guy
for
in the
you.
world, but
Until he's moved back in California and needs to hear money.
We know you'll both enjoy.
until he's gone.
Yeah.
It's good, too good to be true.
It is too good. If it is, seems that way, it is.
And even blow you away. And
But-
best of all,
But we still fall into the same,
free
you know,
shipping.
traps.
Always delivered in discreet
Because we're emotional human beings.
Yeah.
Forgot the coffee?
We
Yeah.
all grew up
All
different
over.
times. You know, like my
All
grandmother,
staring
she
at
grew up
you
in the
making
Depression.
coffee.
She never had a credit card at all.
Some sort of Starbucks
Mom's a
baristas
boomer.
get
Does
your
it
order
seem like
wrong.
this is working?
Yeah.
She grew up.
Seems like it,
great.
yeah.
She's a spender.
I mean, it's always hard to tell because
Yeah.
I try to turn my, like, I don't know how
Nothing can
Jeff
ever
sits in
happen
here with the volume he has on his
Yeah.
headphones.
Yeah.
He's high, but yes.
Really?
You're right.
He has that thing like so cranked up that I don't know how he's. Yeah.
The sky's the limit.
I mean, it hurts my ears when I
When I was
drink
graduating,
stuff.
I graduated from high school in '69.
Oh, this
And
is.
during college, I worked at a grocery
Oh.
store, and the wages at that time were going up for labor. The unions were so strong. I started at $3.33. 4 years later, it was $7.50 an hour. And this is in 1970, 71, 72.
Yeah, when we went off the gold standard, things went off the
Oh,
rail.
you might do, Eric.
Inflation in the 70s was out of control.
Oh, yeah.
The unions had
Honestly.
power,
Is
and for the first time ever,
roll
they
this
felt like they had
here.
pricing power.
Basically, like explode
Post
the
World War
dust.
II. So
Just
in World
like
War
this
II, they froze the wages.
I'll just
So
roll this
what the
behind.
unions did is they said, okay, well, if you're going to freeze wages, we want pensions. You give us pensions, and that's
Like,
what
so I'm
we
not
did.
talking as much because
So
literally
pensions.
I'm gonna have to reach for the microphone and grab
They were
it.
tax
Good
Bring it
deductions
over here and talk more.
best in the world.
Yeah.
Because the reason
They said
for
we're
two
gonna be
reasons.
done
One is
at,
they were tax
what, the end of the
deductible,
week?
and the obligations never had to be on the balance sheet.
Maybe.
Nobody
So,
knows.
until
Maybe
the
it's a
70s, that started to
surprise,
change.
guys.
And then
Do you
pensions
want it
became
to be done
less.
by the end of the week?
So then
Yeah.
wages had to, because the unions had to prove their work.
Yeah. Well,
So-
never mind that.
But wages for mill workers, I know my dad was a
Well,
mill
when
worker.
it's
He,
done,
the
it'll be
wages for
done.
mill
I should
workers,
Yeah.
keep this whole damn thing in there.
Yeah. That was the boom.
I'm not gonna be here
And
tomorrow,
I hit it
so
just right.
Yeah.
I paid for college.
Yeah.
I financed my
I
whole
feel-
college on that
Oh
job.
my-
I used to work in the summers, Christmas vacation.
Oh, yeah?
This setup or
It was great. Can't do that now. No way.
What's wrong?
I'll take a picture and send it to Shannon and
Wow.
this and just like put that in the corner and say, does that bother you? 'Cause if it doesn't, it's gonna stay there. If
Yeah.
it does, we move it back.
Okay, but how many more days, seriously, are we
Yeah.
gonna be in here? I mean, I hear as early as Thursday, Eric, what do you think?
it's possible. It's down to literally just like the most minute details now.
Maybe-
They don't want, they wanna get it
A
right.
message on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
Like make a joke about it a little bit. I don't know. Whatever.
No. I don't want to send him a serious, like, I want his real response. Like, I don't want him in here angry because there's something else in here.
Yeah, but I mean, everything we're down to now is just like, okay, we got this a little bit, and then we have to find a time where we can pull everything at once and go. Because we do have to go off air for about
Middle of
15
the
minutes,
night.
yeah. And that's the thing is getting the people here that need to be here to
Do it.
make that transition.
And then you got a test driver. Make sure it works.
Right. Get all the kinks out.
I mean, I think
Like a
everything's
roller
work. The things that we need to be worried about, the board is working, the Simeon automation is working, so all that stuff is working. It's now making the small details.
Hardly wait.
Is Ledge back tomorrow?
Yeah.
You alright?
Court date.
Work.
Well, no news is
Yeah,
bad.
that's all.
What's that?
No news is good.
I say you haven't gotten a message from me like I need maybe another day.
Could
Can you cover the rest of the week, Mick?
That's
come scrounge up this
Yeah.
bail money? Gotta get Ledge out.
just let you know I got exactly 4 minutes to call you and give you a heads up.
Right, but
That's all they're giving me.
please answer.
Yeah.
I was in criminal court today. It's an absolute mess.
Sure.
It's amazing how many.
You don't do criminals.
It's just for like friends or something. It's a friend of mine, so I want to. It's like 1,000 people in there. Everybody's locked up.
So
Like,
what
they're
happened?
just-
What happened to Ollie?
Yeah. It was surprising.
Don't choke on your coffee now. Come on. I had to throw
sadness.
that.
That's funny. I had a dream once that I got arrested, and I called you.
No, yeah, did I
Yeah.
show up?
Hopefully, yes.
Gotta hope so.
Hey, this is Briana. Who?
Who?
Yeah. Dude, I used to come get me, man.
Don't call this number again.
Legit locked up. Like,
Just blocked you.
come fucking get me. Cause if I get out, gotta come find you.
We laugh, but
I'm just gonna wait for you to leave your garage open. I'm coming.
nice bear.
Nice bear. I'm following the bear in next time.
Was he big? Oh, you didn't see him.
About a minute left.
Yeah,
I
it's,
wonder how big.
That is so crazy. Oh my god.
That bear that they took a picture in my.
I had stayed up by myself having a lot of vodka in my office in my house by myself. So I was out. I was pretty nice and asleep.
Toasty.
You're warm and fuzzy.
Maybe the dog was giving you shit. You sitting here passed out.
Well, you know, Jimmy Buffett had a song called
The dog didn't say
God's Own
anything.
Oh yeah.
God's Own Drunk when he was with the bear and the moonshine on top of the mountain.
So I was like, well,
God, that was a
All right, there's your disclaimer playing in there.
Okay.
Such a nice voice in my ear.
That's pretty. Hey, can you do the event
thanks,
now?
guys.
Can you do the event now?
What do you mean? Can I do
The
event?
poker tournament?
Yeah.
Will you? Like when I go back on the air, will you do it?
Oh, yeah. Let me grab this. That's not creepy at all. That's
Slow-mo
creepy.
mic transfer.
Justin Clark.
321-339-1055. Two amazing events coming up here. One is this Friday, Briana.
Yeah, it's going to be the Hometown Heroes Alliance Casino Night. It's going to be from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge, and that is 5505 Hansel Avenue in Orlando.
Come check it out. We'll be there. Brianna will be there. I will be there. We'll probably drag some other people from the station over there as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, they have 60
Don't take me.
Texas
I'm
Hold'em
deaf.
seats
I'm deaf, but
that are available, and it's the great thing about this is free to go. It's
Oh.
free to come to this event.
okay.
Only thing you got to pay for is the Texas Hold'em seats, and then there's gonna be like a bar, obviously,
Duh.
because why not?
Oh, because nobody would show up if there wasn't. Right.
Yeah. So come
Good
check us
bars,
out there this Friday. Mick, we've got the Stogies and Cycles as well.
Stogies and Cycles. This is coming up November 16th. This is a big deal for Florida Man Radio. We're all going to be there. I mean, from Bubba. Even
Yeah.
Bubba's coming over
Yeah.
for this. It's over at Bellicoso's Cigars' new store. It's a new place. Hasn't opened yet, but it's in the Mills 50 district. And, well, you get a chance to smoke cigars and drink some good whiskey. And we're talking food. It's a great little deal.
And listen to Bubba the Love Sponge talk for 2-3 hours.
There you go.
So when is it and what is it? Sorry.
Yeah, when is this?
November 16th.
Nah, there was a-
November 16th. All right, so hope to see you there. 321-339-1055. Joined by Ron Christopher. He is, what do I say, partner? Owner?
Partner's good.
Partner of GC Wealth Management. He's also a certified financial planner. And before the break, Ron, we were talking about how one of the biggest fears of my life is losing everything. I grew up relatively poor. What I've done for a living is help people going through a terrible time. So in the back of my head, I'm always afraid of showing up at that Winn-Dixie and running my debit card with a bunch of people behind me and it declining. I mean,
Wells Fargo.
with my Wells Fargo debit card because it was
You got
probably
a thing against Wells
It's the
Fargo.
debit card, it's not your account.
so it's something that is a fear of mine, and I think it's a fear that a lot of us have. We are afraid of running out of money, especially in Florida, because like 2006, everything was great. If everything wasn't great in your life, just go flip a property, and everything would be great for a year. And then in late 2007, the economy really started collapsing. In 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, it was horrendous around here. Whether you're in real estate, you're in construction, you're a mortgage person, no matter what you were doing, even in radio, I mean, Clear Channel was buying up everything and firing on-air people.
Yeah.
I mean, people were losing everything.
But gas was cheap.
Gas was cheap.
It went way down.
But are there any sort of businesses, or are there any ways to recession-proof ourselves?
Well, yeah, you want to get away from saying recession-proof.
Okay.
Recession-resistant is more accurate. If you can imagine, over 22 years, in this business, I pretty much have a PhD in behavioral science, behavioral finance, basically.
Yeah.
I've seen all the mistakes that people can make. I felt like I was the only one in 2005 screaming that real estate prices were going to decline. And
They were calling you crazy.
yeah,
Oh, it was
I had
out of
arguments with
control,
friends,
though.
and believe it or not, it was the fourth quarter of '05 where our median home price here in Central Florida peaked, started to decline into 2007. So clients come, they pay me to be objective. They pay me to tell them what they need to hear. Back then, the people who were buying real estate, at leverage upon leverage upon leverage, buying these homes, when I would tell them not to do that, they just looked at me like I had 10 heads.
Yeah.
They had no, they just ignored me.
You ever see those people?
Well, so, a funny story too, back then, I tell this one younger kid, he's in his late 20s, say, hey, you don't want to buy that condo in Sanford.
What's his name? Justin Clark.
No, it wasn't. His name
You
was,
weren't 20 then. Sorry.
and so,
Actually, I was.
Oh,
I
In
gave
2009? Yeah, I was 29.
You were 29.
Yeah.
oh,
You
Lord have mercy.
you and Bob Hope.
This is a baby.
So, I tell him not to buy the condo. He went ahead and did it. He emails me like 3 months later. He said, "Oh, what a great financial planner you are. I put $8,000 down on this condo, and it didn't even build out yet, but I've already made $50,000. I made 5 times my money." He gave me this nasty email, said what a terrible planner I am, blah blah blah. Well, needless to say, he never was able to sell that condo, and he did have to give that back to the bank. And so, but at the end of economic cycles, people make emotional decisions. They protract, good times for a long time. So, with regard to people and emotions, there's 2 problems. One is people are impatient and they're gullible. And people make stupid financial decisions and they're in denial about it. They'll never tell anybody about it. It's an embarrassment for them. So they come to us to teach them emotional relationship with money, to look at things objectively, to be proactive, to prepare for bad times, and our clients, we feel we put in a good position, whether that's advising them, because the average person goes through 65 life transitions from cradle to grave.
What do you mean by that? You gotta help me understand.
All right, so obviously you're born, that's a life transition, right? You graduate college, that's a life transition. You get a job, each job you get's a life transition. You have a 401k, you need to roll over. You need to make smart financial
You
decisions.
stop drinking. You
Stop
start drinking.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
You get married, you have babies, you retire is a big one, you leave money to your heirs, that's a big one. People look at it like, okay, I have maybe a handful of these major transitions, and a lot of them are bigger than others, but there's 65 of them where it requires you to make a strong, informed financial decision, and that's where we come in. We want our clients to be informed when they make these financial decisions. And I got a lot of clients right now, I got a lot of people I'm working with, I lead the horse to water, and a lot of times they don't drink. Some of these emotional connections aren't there, but it's my job to stay on them. My job is to have them declare to me their best intention, and I have to hold their feet to that fire.
321-339-1055. Ron Christopher is our guest. I talk on this show often about fraudsters who've stolen $12 million from this family or stolen $4 million from 50 Central Florida residents. There's a lot of fraud out there, and I think that a lot of people, especially if they're doing kind of well, want to take that money and invest in a new business, whether it's someone they know, whether it's a relative, an uncle, or maybe even someone they don't know, an ad they replied to, or something like that. I mean, do you often recommend your clients to invest in new startup businesses, or do you stay away from that?
I rarely advise people to do startup businesses unless it's something that's within their core competency, where they have control, where it's something that if it's a passion for them, if it gives them a purposeful life, then by all means, go for it. That's one of the major things we try to do is get people out of these cubicle type jobs and figure out exactly what they want to be doing in life, and we help them make that transition. So if that's starting a small business, absolutely within the right,
Parameters.
parameters.
Yeah.
If it's something you're good at, it's something you have a passion with, if it's a low barrier to entry, if you've done the studies, I'll help you do it. And Justin, you and we've talked to a number of my clients in the past about businesses that they've wanted to start, and it's something that they had no idea anything about. They want to believe, they're emotional about it, they're expedient. If it's too good to be true, then it probably is.
So what kind of startups have you seen that you think might have a problem, might be a chance to make it?
Oh, jeez. Definitely not financial services.
Okay.
This is
'Cause that would be competition.
Legal. Take legal off the list.
Yeah.
Well, no. Our business has changed so much. If you don't have an established footprint in this business, it's nearly impossible to start fresh now. I think when someone has a trade or when someone has a skill,
Yeah.
if you have a skill and you've been doing that for an employer for a long time, and you know the ins and outs of that business, and you want to take a shot and go out on your own, and you're really good at it, then by all means, take that chance. I mean, you only live once. If that's what makes you happy, go for it. But it's that skill, that thing you've been doing for 20 years that you know in and out. That's what I think really makes a difference. That combined with hard work, and really the sky's the limit.
I read more and more about people who are packing up their belongings and moving to Costa Rica or moving to Panama City, Panama. What do you think about that?
Or Belize.
Or Belize?
Yeah.
I'm an American. I cannot leave this country.
Check that one off.
Yeah, I can live on my Social Security and still save money, says this 66-year-old Chicagoan who recently has left and moved forever to calming Costa Rica, where he plans to live indefinitely. Should we be banking on Social Security?
I think so. I really do. I mean, I think they'll have to readjust some things. They might have to means test the people who would be receiving benefits. They might have to raise the taxes on all of us. Social Security during the Great Depression was necessary.
Yeah.
It was necessary to keep our republic alive, believe it or not, because there were so many young, angry people who were out of work.
Yeah.
And the only way to get them jobs was to get the old people off the payrolls. And you had to have some level of security for them. Initially, Social Security paid barely anything. It was a very, meager existence.
Justin Clark here with Ron Christopher of GC Wealth Management. If you have any questions whatsoever, 321-339-1055. I speak with realtors basically all week, Ron. And we do the show on CBS News 6, WKMG. I'm wearing their hat right now. News partners here at Florida Man Radio, by the way. Happy to have them in the loop. I do, when I'm talking to them, interviewing them on our show, which you can watch at 12:30 p.m. Saturdays over on News 6, I always say, how do you deal with your client when you walk into a house and you want to list their house and you say, look, your house is worth $300,000. But then, they want to get the business too, and the person believes their house is worth $400,000. And there are 3 other realtors behind them who are going to come in saying, I can get you $400,000 right away. You must experience some similar type issues when you're working with a new client, when you're going through their financial life, and you're trying to come up with something that's really going to work for them over time. There might be 3 or 4 financial advisors behind you promising them the world. Is this something that you run into?
Absolutely. That's the number one warning sign. You walk in, you show them what you have, you ask them what they can do for you. If they just say they can do better. If they're a return on investment advisor, if that's what the core of their pitch is going to be to you, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get someone who, if it's all about the numbers to you, then it's not going to work. You're not going to get the return on life that you want. We dive deep. People tell me things that nobody else knows about them. I know exactly what they want to get out of life, and we make the money kind of fit into that. And we teach them how to have a good relationship with money versus just focusing on the numbers, the return on investment. Because
I love my money.
you
I
do?
I couldn't live without it.
It's right up there with oxygen. You need it.
Got it.
Well, you know, Ron, you do say money is simply a tool or utility that we manage to navigate through life. It's kind of the gerbil on the wheel analogy. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so most of us are in a job we despise. We're told every day that we got to save money so that we can get to this promised land called retirement. And we have to work our butts off and live this, less than fulfilling life to get to this retirement cliff. And hopefully there'll be something there to help us navigate that. So it's like the gerbil on the wheel, and you're just sitting there spinning your wheels through life. So what we view money as is, we view money as the sails of a sailboat. It's simply the utility that gets you where you want to be. Money's not the destination, it's not the shoreline, it's not even the boat, it's just simply the sails that gets you to where you want to be. So it's just a tool, it's just a utility, and you have to keep that in perspective.
How often do you talk to people who have crossed the finish line, so to speak, where they come to you and they say, man, I'm there already, I'm done?
Yeah, well, I got a lot of people who have done tremendous amounts of work to save the amount of money to where their lifestyle that they want is completely optional, and they've done a great job. I've got a lot of people who have achieved that, but still don't believe that they're there. That's how obsessed they are with it. And then I've got people, I have people who walk into my office when they're 55 and they really haven't had an opportunity to do anything to this point, and they're playing a lot of catch up, and we have to thread the needle for them.
As part of that same analogy, you say money is not the goal. Money is the utility that gets us to our goal. What do you mean by that?
So basically, we all have an idea of what kind of life we want to live. And whether that's what you want to do as a vocation, like what you want to contribute to society. Like me personally, I view myself as a servant. I always have. I joined the Navy right out of high school. I served our country. I've been doing this for 22 years. I've been serving people ever since. This is my mission. This is my calling. When I serve people, I want them to live their God-given, purpose-filled life. Okay? And without money, unfortunately, you cannot do that. I want them to contribute to society in the ways that they want to contribute to society, and managing money properly helps them do that.
321-339-1055. Ron Christopher is here with GC Wealth Management. So we'll go pay a personal trainer $150 an hour to count to 12 push-ups for us. You know what I mean? Or like we were talking before, a life coach, we'll give them $1,500 to regurgitate what I tell them to tell me, later on in my business life. Is it just to hold us accountable why we do this sort of thing? Because we're afraid if we don't pay them up front that we're not going to show up at the gym, or we're going to forget the oaths we made to ourselves. And how does that relate to money management?
Yeah, so my wife, God bless her, since I've known her, she was a fitness competitor way back when. In fact, she was the 2002 NPC All-South Fitness Champion. So she has a lot of workout experience, but she always needed a personal trainer to get her motivated, especially after we had kids. And I always used to say, man, we don't need to be paying for a trainer, because I never had that issue. I could just go in the gym and work out. Well, it never dawned on me on why she needed that. And then I was talking with a colleague, and we talked about accountability and our jobs as financial planners to hold people accountable. That's what you want. If you're going to hire somebody, if you're going to hire a trainer, you're not hiring him to count to 12 3 times in a row and then go to another exercise and count 12 times 3 times in a row again. I had a great trainer. He analyzed my whole body, my posture, asked me questions, what I wanted to accomplish. And then, I had to pay him in advance, a package in advance. And that was the accountability I needed to show up the 2 to 3 times a week. And that's what we try to tell clients now is, I'm here to hold you accountable. And smart, intelligent people want that. They want to be challenged. They want people to tell them what they need to hear. And they want someone to hold them accountable to their goals.
Well, they also recognize that there's more to it than they know, that you can give them tips that they couldn't get anywhere else.
Well, absolutely. So in our conversations, they've never reflected on exactly what they want to accomplish until they have that conversation with me. And then
that makes them think.
We put the plan in motion at that point.
In a lot of ways, Mick, just so I can kind of break this down for you, you know how you wouldn't go to the tanning salon if you didn't buy that package up front. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have made it to the tanning bed that day. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like when Mick.
I wouldn't actually have done that at all.
The tanning bed.
That's a pretty poor analogy there. No, go ahead.
I'm trying to break it down so you
It's like
understand.
if they sold memberships to the bar.
Oh, memberships to the bar, Brianna
Yeah.
says. I got you. So how does it look, Ron? So I come in, I call you over at GC Wealth Management. I say, look, I'm a mess. I have a shoebox full of statements. I don't even know where my retirement account is. It was from my last job at Hewlett Packard. I don't know where anything is. I walk into your office. How much do I have to pay to get started?
All right, so our initial consultation is free. It doesn't cost anything to come sit down and talk to us. Bring your statements. We sit down. I'll help you make heads or tails about where everything is, where you're invested, how much risk you're exposed to, which is really important right now. We're at the end of an economic cycle. If you are invested with too high a level of risk, you're not going to be happy when the recession does come, whenever that is. So I help you make sense of everything, and then we talk about a plan moving forward, and that's where the execution part comes in. We have a process that we call the 4D process. It's a 4-dimensional process. It basically, we talk about what's important to this client and what they want to accomplish, and then we give them the advice on exactly how to get there.
And what does it look like? You really come up with a plan that I'm going to look at with you, and you're going to kind of tell me where I should put the money? I mean, it's going to go through the whole process.
Exactly. The whole process is the first part of it is, what your ownership structure should be. Should you have IRAs, Roth IRAs, 401ks? How much money should you be putting in each one of these buckets? Your actively managed accounts, should they be in your Roth IRA versus your regular accounts, so you're tax efficient? All of those things are addressed in the plan. If you're a doctor, attorney, someone with deep pockets, we don't want you to get sued, so we put money in credit protected accounts. If you're older, we pensionize some of these assets and put them somewhere that's going to earn lifetime income for you, so that you don't have to worry about income when you retire. If you're in that 55 and over category, so it's about as comprehensive and in depth as you can imagine. It's a pretty surreal process.
So when it's time for me to start putting money into these accounts, when we say, okay, you're going to do $500 a month or $1,000 a month or whatever number we come up with, assuming that I'm putting money in, is this the kind of thing that I kind of write a check to you whenever I have a couple extra bucks, or should I do some sort of automatic payment? What do you think is the best way to go about doing this?
So we start with the automatic investments monthly. Whatever amount can be afforded, essentially.
Yeah.
So they take it out
automatically, correct. And we prioritize that savings. So if someone says I can save $1,000 a month,
Right.
okay, so we'll prioritize that savings and say, okay, the first 300 should go here, and so on, based on their goals. And then from there we set it up. But we also make it clear that, okay, we're starting at $1,000, but we want to grow this. We want to audit our budget twice a year. We want to grow this to $1,500 in a year. We want to grow this savings habit. And you know, we've done this, you know, for years.
Of course.
And it
If
just-
you didn't automatically take it out of my account, I would never do it. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I really think that for you, because this isn't money going to Netflix. This is money that's staying with you. That's actually going to start growing.
Yeah.
So I think if there's ever a time to use auto debit,
Yeah,
it's
that would
for
be-
your investment
Yeah.
purposes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I have clients that they come on board, they say they want to do an automatic plan, we start it for a couple months, they stop it, they say I'm going to do it as I can, and then, you know,
Never
6
do it.
months, a year go by,
Yeah.
and they don't play.
Right back here to wrap up a Tuesday night on Florida Man Radio, 321-339-1055. It's Justin Clark. It's Florida Man Radio. All right.
Central Florida first responders.
You know, one thing that really pisses me off about the financial industry, the Capital One commercials, where that smarmy ass guy walking through and, you know, he said, we're doing things different here. And he says that they're paying 5 times as much but they don't say how much that is. They're 5 times as much as any other bank.
On a savings
I
account?
guess.
Yeah, so Capital One can do that because Capital One is your, forgive me if anyone has Capital One credit cards in here, but
I do, but that's all right.
Capital One has in the past been only a lender to your lower credit ratings. Now they've changed that over the last 10 years where they've been marketing more towards everybody to have a Capital One card. But back in the day, it was if you were just lucky, feeling you were lucky to have credit, and you were willing to pay 25% interest, that was your card you were going to get. Now, them and U.S. Bank, those are the two. So they're able to pay more on their savings because they're lending out. So every dollar that they bring in, they can lend out $8, and they can lend out those $8 at higher rates than a Citibank or Bank of America because they don't have the same restrictions.
Well, what would that rate be? Because 5 times sounds like, oh wow, 5 times.
Yeah.
5 times times 0.2%.
Yeah, it's probably 75 basis points times 5. I would say it's probably in the 2.5 to 3% range.
Oh, it's better than that. I figured it'd be about 1. You know,
It could very well
interest
be.
is nothing.
It could very well
Nobody
be.
still is paying interest.
Yeah, it could very well be that, but the problem is the 10-year Treasury has fallen. It's gone from 2.5% to 1.5% in about 3 months, and it's going to go to 1. And we're going to be the only country in the world where we don't have negative debt, negative rated debt.
Huh.
So
Everybody else is going below.
there's $17 trillion of minus negative interest rate yielding debt. You live in Germany right now, and
Yeah,
you lend,
that's
you
what I
give
hear.
your money, you buy bonds, you're paying them
to
to
hold your
hold
money.
your money. Yep,
So why would you even do that?
safety. People are. This is the most panicked world that has not affected our stock market yet.
Yeah.
So everybody else.
Everybody is in a panic except for the people who are maintaining the level of our stock market. Our bond market is panicking. Interest rates went from 3 to 1.5 fast. That's a major panic. But our stock market is just
Yeah.
because there's nowhere else to invest. Where are you
Because
going
there's
to
no
invest?
return on any
Are you
investment.
going to go to Capital One for 2%, or are you going to take your shot with a 3% dividend stock? You know? And what's happening now is people are selling the high price stocks and they're buying the low ones, and then those go like this, and then they're buying those back, and then they're, you know, it's just the money's just rotating in the same snow globe, if you will. It's only a matter of time before that
Is this China thing, trade thing, is that gonna?
China's in bad shape.
Oh, really?
China's in real bad shape. They're gonna
Why do they have the NBA shaking in their boots?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I
billion
heard
people
that.
there.
Come on.
Yeah, that's the only reason you're right.
Billion eyeballs, man.
What? There's so many of them.
Billion
Funny
eyeballs.
story. My dad used to tell me.
We need Yao Ming to bridge the gap.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would help. My dad, in fact, when I was growing up, he would say, and I don't know where he heard this, but there are so many people in China that they didn't have enough work for anybody to do. So they employed people as fly swatters
Oh, yeah?
to catch, keep the flies down and you know,
I've never heard
or
that.
whatever.
Well, to get through the recession, they built whole cities that nobody lives in.
Oh, I know.
Oh, really?
See-through cities. I've seen that.
In China?
Yeah. And they've got resident cities all over. I mean, there's probably 100 of those in China that would be big cities here.
Really?
And they're just
No one really
so
lives
many
there?
They
people.
just know. They just were.
They built them and nobody came.
How should we wrap this up?
Anything we missed? Unless you give your phone number, email, website, whatever.
Yeah, it's a short wrap.
I don't know if I should talk about where the market is and like the need to get help now, or
What's time you
Probably 2.5.
That's enough time.
Yeah, 2 minutes right now. Forward.
No, but I mean, how many will we have?
About 2 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, we stopped 2 minutes. How are the cameras looking tonight?
Decent.
I was wearing a suit earlier today, just for the record.
You actually were, and I saw you.
You saw me, right?
And I was like, what's
Well, what are you doing with the suit?
Why did you go change? What's wrong with you? We'll get there. Jeff said essentially he's gonna have his hands full Friday. So he's just gonna give us like a list of things to keep announcing, and that's
Okay.
just it. So we're basically gonna open up the event
Okay.
and then promote raffles with the tables.
Okay.
That's about
And he's
it.
gonna give us a list of things.
Mhm.
He has a microphone or whatnot.
I would assume so, because I'm not yelling.
It's not our responsibility to bring a mic to us.
No, we only do it for ourselves.
What are you talking about, on site?
What's that?
On site?
Yeah,
On Friday.
on Friday. Feel free to join us.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you aren't enough.
Mark's coming apparently.
I should be drunk enough by then.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm off on Fridays.
Oh yeah, you will be.
Oh, that's pretty good. I am so happy.
I thought you might like that. What's that?
Really.
You're actually gonna be about a minute and a half.
Okay, we're gonna light.
They'll be pretty quick. Yeah, this break's running a little longer than. If none of these are cut correctly, they're all like 3 seconds over.
No worries.
Now, the next show that comes on, Eric, is recorded or?
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's terrible.
Well, no, I've heard him talk to some pretty interesting people. Yeah, he's real dry.
He's just so boring.
He's really dry.
You like this guy, Smith? Let me tell you.
Wrapping up a Tuesday, Ron Christopher, thanks for being here, buddy. He is with GC Wealth Management. All right, so if I want to get my whole financial plan done, I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines, letting these banks take my money and not paying me any of my money. How do I reach out? What are we going to do?
yeah. So if you want a partner, if you want someone in the yoke pulling the plow with you, give me a call 407-947-7396.
He is the only person that handles any of my financial matters, and my mom's as well.
Really?
So, you know, if you refer your mom there, you know it's
In
a
the family.
trustworthy guy. Briana, Mick Dolan, EC, good job today, guys.
Thank you.
Anything to promote? Anything I'm missing? Friday, Briana, we've got the poker tournament, and we'll tell you more about that tomorrow. We got some spots running on that here, too. In the meantime, tuning back in here tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock a.m. to 10 is Bubba the Love Sponge. Scott Ledger and Mick Dolan joining you from 10 to 2. It is the Shannon Burke Show from 2 o'clock to 6. And I don't know much, but I do know one thing.
What's that?
I will see you right back here tomorrow night, 6 p.m. on Florida Man Radio.